folks, this is all the fruit, and here I have the Lotus Plum, one of the oldest species in cultivation worldwide. Here in the Botanic Garden of Heidelberg there are two trees, actually one young tree and one huge old shrub. The huge old shrub hasn't got a single fruit, but the young one is hanging full of fruit. Well, let's pick a couple of those fruit. And let's look at them more closely. Well, if I show you one of those, you will think just a normal small orangish yellowish fruit, nothing conspicuous. But when I show it to you with the calyx, you'll probably say, oh wait, that reminds me of something. Well, it looks a bit like a tomato, but this calyx with the 4 lobes, it reminds you of a Kaki plum. And actually the Lotus plum is in the same genus, Diospyrus Kaki and Diospyrus lotus. The Lotus plum is also called date plum because it tastes a bit like a date and a plum, but it's neither. It's a species related to the Kaki plum. And actually what the Kaki plum is for East Asia, the Lotus plum was for, well, the Mediterranean and West and Central Asia. But then I guess with the arrival of the bigger Kaki plum, it kind of got forgotten. Well, not completely forgotten, but kind of partially replaced by the bigger Kaki plum, which is a pity because they are really tasty cultivars of this stuff. By the way, both Lotus plum and Kaki plum are in the family Ebenaceae, so the timber is very interesting and very valuable. The outer layer of the timber will be whitish, but the inner layer of the timber will be black, like ebony, which is in the same family. Well, the Lotus plum is native to, well, we are not sure exactly to where it is native because, as I said, it has been one of the oldest plants in cultivation. We are sure it's native to the Caucasus, probably also native to Central Asia and Pakistan, probably also native to big parts of Turkey, probably also native to Southeast Europe, but it could be introduced into many of those areas thousands of years ago. We know that the old Mesopotamians cultivated it. We know that the Greeks and the Romans and the Indians knew it. It features prominently in the Odyssey. Well, most probably this is the fruit which features prominently in the Odyssey, as the fruit which the lotus eaters ate, and it was so tasty that you forgot that you want to go home and stayed with them forever and ate nothing but this fruit. And yeah, the fruit is really tasty. However, the variety here in Heidelberg is not very good. There is a town nearby, Weidheim, with much tastier lotus plums. But since I'm in Heidelberg now, I'll try the Heidelberg lotus plums. They're already nice and soft. A modern persimmon you could already eat at this stage. A traditional persimmon variety or Kaki variety would be too tart. And in the case of the Heidelberg fruits, yeah, they will be too tart right now. I already know that. Also, the funny thing is, I guess it was never cultivated here in this area because nowadays it's mildly invasive. There were a lot of those little trees growing back there in those shrubs, but they got removed. And everywhere else where it's grown, several places in Heidelberg and one place in Weidheim is where I know, you find a lot of feral young trees. Yes, I guess the gardeners must have removed them all because a lot of them grew here in the shrubs. Yes, I said the variety in Weidheim is much better. You could already perfectly eat them at this stage, but I'm sure the ones here from Heidelberg will still be horribly tart. With the ones from Heidelberg, you really need to wait till not the first frost, but some really harsh frost to get nice, tasty fruit. And then there will be like brownish, purplish, blackish, and will look completely rotten, so nobody will eat them. But now we are still October. Usually they get edible around Christmas. But it's October, they are nice and soft, and I'll try one and regret it. A nice persimmon flavor, sweetness, but also tartness. It's not as tart as I thought. Phew. Still too tart. Phew. So tart that it makes a white, it leaves a white residue on your tongue and your teeth and all your mouth. What a pity they planted bad varieties here, because apart from the tartness, this is really tasty. Imagine you could buy cherry-sized Kaki plums in the supermarket like you can in many other countries. Yeah, in those in Heidelberg there's just the tartness which prevents them from being one of my favorite fruit. The inside is really beautiful, like amber, with those seeds arranged in a star-like pattern. Those are the seeds that produce all those young trees in the shrubs, but cannot show you those because the gardeners removed them. Still a very interesting plant, the Lotus Plum. I don't know why it's not being cultivated more in Europe, especially the more frost-hardy varieties, because the Kaki plum, well, you can cultivate it in Heidelberg. Most of Germany is too cold for it. But the Lotus Plum is much frost-hardy and can grow in places the Kaki plum cannot grow. Really strange. Would really like to see this stuff grown a lot more. Well, folks, this was the Lotus Plum, Diospyrus lotus, a close relative of the Kaki plum, or persimmon. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the beautiful botanic garden of Heidelberg. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.